Thoma and Mistake Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Nicole, and today I am joined by
Hillary.
Sarah.
Raquel Welch is in the building. And today our special guests are fellow podcasters. They have their own podcast. It's called the Falling in Love Montage Podcast. It started like the same week as our podcast did 3 years ago. Valerie and Helen from the Falling in Love Montage Podcast.
Hi, I'm
Welcome.
Helen.
Oh, yes. You go. Sorry, you go ahead.
I ruined everything.
No, I did. I talked over everyone.
Me. I'm Helen. I'm the one who ruins everything.
I'm Valerie. I'm the one who copies everyone. I ruin everything.
Sorry, I'm going to cut that out. That silence.
Long silence. All just took a sip of our drink.
All took a sip of our drink simultaneously.
I think you should copy the silence and just paste it throughout.
Paste it out anytime there's a really intense moment.
Slurp noise.
Oh my god.
So today, we are going to be talking about the recent Amy Schumer film, I Feel Pretty, which just came out this month. Well, this month as of the recording. It's April. This will be coming out in May, so it'll have been out for a month. If it's still in the theaters by then, maybe.
Please.
I think it dropped on my birthday. Is that right?
Was it your birthday?
My birthday's
April
4/20.
20th?
Oh
Really?
my God.
That's amazing.
You are born under a lucky sign.
Oh yeah, bartenders love me because they get to go
I
nice
bet.
birthday, and that's it. End of conversation.
Oh, okay. Well, they work hard. It's exhausting talking to all those strangers. Okay, so we're very excited to have you guys on the show. Helen and Valerie's podcast, they watch a lot of rom-coms, chick flicks. We discussed this before the show, the proper nomenclature for
we like chick flick because it's a
Chick
little
flick.
bit broader.
Okay.
We talk about a lot of rom-coms.
Yes.
But we also talk about, like period dramas and tearjerkers.
That's true.
And what have you.
Okay, all right, cool. So they also watch films and talk about them, so it's a good match. And I think with this particular film, it's a good thing to talk about. So, yeah.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to have Nicole on our show for episode, I don't remember the number, 31 or something, I'm going to guess. It was the sweetest thing. And
That
it was
was
wonderful.
fun.
And hopefully we'll have Sarah and Hillary on as well. Maybe
Oh my
as
God,
well.
it was
We're putting them
super
on
fun.
the spot. This is now documented.
Do you accept?
We'll do it.
I know they're really
It
busy,
was
so we'll
so fun. No,
Yeah.
it was fun. It was really fun. I enjoyed watching that movie, and we had a good time. And I think Valerie made muffins. Didn't you make muffins?
Oh, I did.
They were so good. They're homemade muffins.
I don't get
Nice.
muffins. I'll know you don't love me as much as her.
Oh, great.
Oh, you can eat my muffin.
Yes,
Thank
that's
God,
what I'm
it's all
talking
I
about.
wanted to do since you walked in the door.
So before we dive into talking about this movie, which I'm really excited to talk about.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk a little bit about any preconceived notion, anything you went into this movie with. There was a slight controversy going on at the time.
Yeah.
Hillary, would you like to start us off here?
I fought watching this movie so
She did.
hard. I did not want to do it, and I was offering literally anything else.
It's true.
that
She
we
did
could
not want
watch,
to.
'cause I
Well,
did
we were
not wanna see
supposed
this
to watch
movie.
Overboard.
I know. Yeah, we were going to
But
do Overboard.
the studio moved the release date, so we couldn't do it this month.
Yeah.
And so we had to, what are we going to do instead? And I was like, what about I Feel Pretty? And
And I was like, no, I don't want to do that movie. People hate Amy Schumer. I don't want to get into the middle of that discussion. And everything I had heard about it was that it was just like terrible about body image. And she was like, it was like Shallow Hal reboot with ladies and all this. I heard all this horrible stuff. And I was like, I just don't even want to talk about that. I don't want to go see the movie that I'm going to hate.
and you like Amy Schumer, the comedian.
I love Amy Schumer. I think
Yeah.
she's super funny. And I will say that my mind was changed after watching the movie.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Looking forward to talking more about that. Sarah.
So I only had heard about this movie because Nicole sent me 2 links to see. There were two choices you gave me: Blockers and I Feel Pretty, and I watched both of the previews. So that's like the first thing that I knew about this movie was the preview, and I love the preview. So I was like, we have to watch this one.
So John Cena butt chugging a beer just wasn't not your bag.
Yeah.
I will say that Blockers was directed by a woman as one of the
It's
very
true.
few R-rated films
That is true.
that's directed
And
by
It
a
was
woman.
surprisingly very sex positive and
Okay,
really fun.
Nice.
I've heard
I've
that.
heard that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still curious to see
The
that
trailer is a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
one.
I mean, it's not
Yeah.
run to the theater, watch it, but it's definitely watchable. It's really fun.
Okay, well, maybe we'll check that out later in the year. I think that I was curious as to whether the marketing of the film was not really in keeping with what the film was really about.
Yeah, it looks ostensibly like very lowbrow and
Yeah, it
lots
does.
of blue humor, which there's some of that, but it's
Yeah.
also surprisingly touching, and the performances are really great.
Oh, well,
Especially
there you
from the
go.
children, yeah.
Who knew a film directed by a woman being marketed poorly,
Huh.
so that the audience that it's meant for
Right, never
doesn't
sees
want to
it.
go see it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Who knew?
Thanks, marketers.
So Sarah saw the preview, and she went in with that basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Helen and Valerie, you guys had a very lively discussion about this film going on your podcast
true.
page.
Yes.
Which was one of the reasons I was like really gunning for us to do this movie, because I was like, it's already being talked about, so I wanted to hear
yes.
what you guys thought. Anyway.
Anytime anything comes out that could be remotely construed as a chick flick, people generally were like, Valerie and Helen, you should talk about this, whether or not you want to see it. Do it. Poke, 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 poke. So people were talking about I Feel Pretty in our group. And people were preemptively upset about it, and other people were looking at reviews and thinking, well, I don't think it's going to be that bad. I didn't really know what to think because I had seen the trailer.
Yeah.
And I have seen other Amy Schumer movies, and in general, really kind of liked them.
Yeah.
And
Did you see the one with her and Goldie Hawn?
Oh yeah,
took a
Snatch.
minute.
That one looked
We
so
covered it.
bad.
I liked it
was
so
it
much
good?
more than I thought I was going
I
to.
liked it so much more than Trainwreck.
No, I like
Oh.
Trainwreck more, but I enjoyed Snatch. It's very funny.
I also love Goldie Hawn, so I was
love Goldie.
Absolutely, and she's stunning.
okay. Well, maybe that's one to put on.
Our mother has opinions about the length of her bangs, but
true.
I won't get into
well,
it.
that's a controversy that maybe is for
Right. I
remember to keep mine
its own
trimmed.
episode.
I knew I would eventually see I Feel Pretty, whether or not I was called upon to podcast about it. And I knew I'd probably like it more than I thought I would. And
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything, but I did kind of like it more than I thought I would.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Valerie.
Yeah, again, my introduction to it, I was immediately, before I even saw the trailer, I was immediately put off a little bit by the title
Okay.
because it seems a little mocking.
Yeah, it does.
And, but then like Cougar Town is also a pretty funny
Yeah.
Joe Lawrence show, and it's a really stupid name.
Yeah.
Thanks, Network, But, so getting past that and watching the trailer, it did look like, yeah, there could be some problems here with
Yeah.
this, and now I'm curious. And then I felt guilty. I was like, well, I don't want to watch this just out of curiosity to see whether it like achieves good things or fails or whatever. But I mean, isn't that why we watch movies like
Yeah.
this? To judge women unfairly, to
Exactly.
scrutinize their choices.
Indeed.
But then I thought how wonderful the dialogue we're having right now is that the negative remarks about this movie isn't that, Amy Schumer, a regular beautiful woman, is starring in a movie.
Yeah.
It's that, is this body shaming? Like that was the debate.
Yeah.
Made me feel so happy that audiences were more in tune to these things and more aware of them and critical of it. So yeah, I was just able to like resolve all of those feelings and go into it like optimistic.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting. Yeah, I saw the trailer pretty quickly after it came out. It just kind of flopped through my Facebook feed. It flopped through. It flopped
That's a
through.
really great description.
I think I meant to say flew. I don't know where I was
We're
going.
going
with
with
that.
flopped.
We're going with flopped. And as soon as I saw, I didn't think too much of it. Like I watched it and I was like, okay, this is her usual shtick. Like I feel like her character that she plays a lot, and she's because I watched her sketch show, and the character that she plays is often, I'm a woman who because I don't look like a supermodel, other people consider to be schlubby.
Right.
And that's the joke in many of her shows.
Yeah.
And that is something I can relate to as a regular human person who's never looked like, I've never been a dazzling looker, you might say. Like that's just not, I'm just saying like that's not how I haven't gotten coasted by
know.
on my looks.
I've seen you take some pretty sexy selfies, Nicole.
But like I look
around, I just see a bunch of Giselles.
I'm not a beauty. I'm being realistic. Like I'm not a beauty queen. I'm a person that if you hang around me long enough, you might like me. You know what I'm saying?
We're podcasters, is what you're saying.
We're really
I have
great
a
on the
radio face. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
we work in audio media.
Look, I'm not saying like I'm ugly or something or whatever that means. I'm just saying like I'm not a pageant queen, if you might say. So I relate to that. A woman, regular woman, especially someone who works in the entertainment industry, trying to just like love themselves and love the way they look, and feeling that you're confident about yourself, and then you're confused when people are like casting you in that role of unattractive. Yeah. So that's like her shtick. So when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, of course, this is the character she plays a lot. And I assumed that it was about a person discovering that your beauty comes from how you feel about yourself. That's how I interpreted the trailer. And then suddenly there was this like firestorm of controversy all over my Facebook with people arguing about this trailer, about how like it's again Shallow Hal, which we're referencing this movie, but it's a movie with Gwyneth Paltrow and Jack Black, where Jack Black, I don't remember what happens to him.
Hits his head or gets electrocuted or something.
You only see inner beauty.
Okay.
And so he sees Gwyneth Paltrow, who is wearing a fat suit.
Yes.
As herself, as thin.
Right.
As regular.
As a thin person, and then falls in love with her. So, understandably problematic, that movie.
Very much so.
And so a lot of people are comparing it to that and saying, like, how dare Amy Schumer pretend that she's overweight and that, you know, she's not conventionally attractive. And there's arguments to be made about that, how like a blonde white woman is kind of a conventionally attractive person.
Yeah. Yep.
But also her body, like she's had a lot of people in the media give her shit about her body type and like how she's wearing a bikini on the beach. How dare she? Like it doesn't. I remember that from a couple of years ago. That was a big thing with her. And so I was very surprised. I didn't see that, but a lot of other people did. And so I was like, I really want to see this movie. Are they right? Am I right? Is nobody right? Like, I don't know. I was curious. So that was our experience going into the film. So let's get into talking about I Feel Pretty.
The house is a mess, Jack. The kids are a mess, Jack. You're a mess, Jack.
You have been a total bitch ever since you came to New York.
You seem sort of distant.
Let's just do it, man. You look stupid and rich. Stupid and rich. Fascist.
All right, let's get into it.
All right. I Feel Pretty, starring Amy Schumer. Not written by Amy Schumer. It was written by a husband and wife team.
Written and directed
no.
by...
Oh, they're not husband and
Mark
wife?
Silverstein and
No,
Abby
they're not.
Cohn are not. Mark Silverstein is Busy Phillips'
I'm
husband.
sorry. They are a team, though, because they do work on
they're
other
writing-
films together.
writing
You're right.
team.
They've
I
written
misspoke.
everything together.
Yeah, everything. I looked at both of their
Yeah.
IMDb pages. They're exactly the same.
Yeah, never been kissed.
Yep.
He's just not that into
He's
you.
just not that into you.
Awesome.
A lot of romantic comedies.
Yeah.
Some
not all
TV
of them.
too. A little bit
Yeah,
of
some
TV.
TV.
Yeah.
Yep.
So before we went on into our little musical interlude, made by Braxton. Thank you, Braxton, for the theme music.
Thank you.
We were sort of starting to talk about the controversy surrounding the film, and I think, and Hillary had, and Sarah, you guys had something you wanted to jump on. So Hillary, you had something you wanted to get off right off the bat about that.
Well, it was sort of what you were saying about Amy Schumer and like the criticism that she gets for her body, because I think it's sort of one of those like double, like she gets it on both sides, which I think is kind of unfair. Like when the photo that Annie Leibovitz took of her came out, and she talks about it in her stand-up about how the last thing you want to be described of when somebody takes a photo of you naked is brave. And she was like, and when I put that photo out, everyone was like, look at how brave she is putting her body out there. How disgusting.
Her disgusting body.
Exactly.
Good for
No
you.
one said that to Heather Locklear or
Right,
anything.
right. So I think that sucks. But then when this movie comes out, everybody's like, but she looks so normal and she's so thin. And I'm like, but you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Pick one. Is she fat or
Exactly.
is she thin?
Exactly.
Do we like her or do we not? It's and it bothers me.
Yeah.
Just
I
'cause, like,
100% agree.
it's sort of how I think a lot of women feel, is that like I'm never going to be good enough no matter how I am, you know, like am I okay the way I look now because I'm skinny, or am I too fat? Like, can you just tell me so I can fix it? And like nobody's ever happy about it.
I think that's a really good point.
I think her being cast in this role, like for me, when I watched it, I was like, yeah, she's not fat. But then I was like, no, but wait, like someone who looks like her and even looks even better than her still has these feelings and still thinks they're fat. And that's what this movie is about, is that she thinks she's unattractive, not that she is unattractive or attractive.
And that was going to be my first
she-
thing that I wanted to dive in as like the topic for the first thing is like, is this movie even about her quote being fat. Is that what this movie is
No.
about?
I think it's about her being unremarkable physically and invisible in the way a lot of us feel invisible.
Yeah,
That is
I
a
think it's
great
good-
way of putting
Good
it.
description.
And they do a great job right off the bat of establishing her own self-esteem issues. That moment where she's in the crowd of people waiting to place her order at the bar, I felt just so incredibly in tune with her, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had that moment too where I'm like, I just raising your hand, just like
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna talk to him in a second, but
As a bartender, no one who is 5 deep gets a drink first. I
Yeah.
don't care who you are.
Yeah, and
you
I
have to be
think
in the front to get a drink.
those
Yeah.
people were just chatting.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in Chicago, I was living in Chicago for a couple of years, and when I was living down here, I worked at bars. I worked at shitty bars. I was a waitress at a bar. I had the hardest time getting a job just working at a bar when I was in Chicago. And at first I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I've been waiting tables for like 6 years. Like, I work in places like this. And then I realized, I was like, I don't look like the other girls at this bar. That's why they won't hire me. And it was all men, guys who like look you up and down before they look at your resume. And, you know, it sucked. It was really
Did
hard
you
to
wear
get a
your
job.
water bra?
You might have gotten a sour cream tit, but
I should have worn the sour cream tits.
you
That's
should have.
is that even? I don't even know if that's a reference anyone
did
will
we-
get, since we were talking about that off
like
my
a deep cut.
deep cut. You'll have to wait until the Patreon. No, I'm just kidding. Have to wait for the B-sides. Yeah, I think that to say that this movie is just about weight is incorrect, because I feel like it's more about her perception. Well, it isn't just. That's the thing, is it's not just about her perception
It's
of
not just about
herself.
her
It's the
perception,
because
it's
they
the
treat
world's
her a
perception
certain
of
yeah,
her.
Yeah.
like the way she goes into a store and she's just looking at jeans. She's not even trying anything on.
Yes, and the woman is like, "Oh, we don't carry your size in store. You'll have to order it online." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Bitch, did I ask for your help?
That is definitely
Yeah.
a flaw of the film, that it's not very consistent in its message. I think its
Yeah.
message
Okay.
intentionally is good, but it does this back and forth where it's like, you should have confidence, you should feel good about yourself, which is the nugget. But
Yeah.
then when she does have confidence in herself, the look she gets from people like, oh, she thinks she all that, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
surprise, the look of shock. It's like, well, why people should be like, if this message were consistent, people would be like, oh, well, damn, yeah, of course.
Well, I don't think that was the message, that if you have confidence, you will be greeted with love. Like, I don't think that was
Yeah,
the message.
I would
think
agree.
it
Clearly
was.
wasn't.
Yeah.
No, it was not. I don't think.
Well, but to that point, though, I do think that Michelle Williams' character begins that way and then sort of sees her in a different light because of the confidence that she has. So I do think that at least one character does see the confidence that she
Yeah,
exudes.
and Grant
And-
too.
The boyfriend.
But and then they realize her worth from that, because they've taken the time to get to know her, because she's confident
yeah.
about her abilities as well as her like beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, while I agree that it can be considered a little inconsistent, I feel like that's the real battle, though, is that even if I love myself and think that I look amazing, I'm still going to encounter people like those bar managers who aren't going to hire me
so depressed
because of the way I look. And that's the truth. Like, you are going to walk into a store and the shop lady's going to look at you and go, we don't have your size.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But yeah, so I think that it's important for her to be part of the experience, because for her to suddenly be confident and for everyone to just be like, this woman is gorgeous, it's not realistic.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just not.
But I think there's something to be said too for like her ability in the like after the change happens and she sees herself as beautiful. I think that there's something to be said for her like ability to let it roll off her back too.
Yes.
Because of the way she feels about herself. And like
Yeah.
I know I've had experiences where I don't feel like that, but like you said, like if you're feeling good and then somebody just brings you down immediately. Like I had an experience one night, like walking home from a bar. We were super drunk. This drunk dude walks past a group of me and all my female friends and goes, would do, gross, would do.
The exact same thing happened to me
Yep.
in Athens.
Yep. And I
Are
was
you
like,
serious?
yeah. And I was like, I was feeling good about myself. I was wearing like my Free People slip, like with the lace on the side. I was like looking cute in Edgewood. And then just immediately for the rest of the night.
Yep.
I had the worst night. I won't remember anything
Because
else
he
from
ruined
that night.
it for you.
I won't remember anything else from that night.
Literally almost the exact same thing happened to me in Athens. Like all my friends walked by and he was like, "Hey, you're cute. You're no, you're not."
Yeah.
Like it ruined the rest of my night.
That's
You
fucked
can
up.
always
For my-
count on. Sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
You can always count on men to give their unsolicited opinion about your appearance.
Like, thank God for you, gents.
Thank
I
you.
wouldn't know my
we wanted
self-worth
to know.
without you.
We were just waiting for someone to tell us.
I was walking my dog, but really what I wanted was your validation and
Yeah.
your phone number. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah. Okay. So, well, we were dancing around this. It's in the trailer, so it's not hard to find out. But basically, just to give a short description of what happens, she is got low self-esteem. She goes to this Soul Cycle place, which I've never been to a Soul Cycle,
my
but
God, they're the
apparently it's a
worst.
thing.
They're the worst.
Well, should we
And
talk
they're-
about Soul Cycle? What the
Probably.
fuck is a Soul Cycle? It
does
looks
look
like
like
just
the
a
worst.
place where you ride on a stationary bike and someone yells like yoga mantras at
always.
you. Okay.
Like the one I went to was not a Soul Cycle. It was like one of the knockoff ones, but it is set up like that where the bikes are literally like inches from each other. So you're in a room with a whole bunch of other sweaty people, like you're your own horse in the room, and it smells like a barn. It is gross. And they are so hard to get on and off because you do have to clip your shoes in like she does.
Chris wears
And-
those when he commutes on his bike.
Yeah.
I feel like I would fucking kill myself.
They're a
trying to
little
get on
different. They're a little different than the ones on bikes. They're a little bit harder to get out of, in my opinion.
I feel
But
like I'd feel trapped.
I tipped my bike over when I was
No!
at one.
Oh,
And
God,
it
I
was
just
the most
shouted into the
embarrassing
microphone.
thing because I was late to the class. I ended up having to have a bike in the front, and afterwards they did this like stretching exercise, and they were like, use your bike to steady yourself. So I'm trying to use my bike to steady myself, but I don't work out. My legs are super weak, and they're like, now squat down and stretch. And I go to squat down. That bike just came right over, and I was like, I'm gonna go. I think this is just best
is
for all of us that
not
I
for me.
leave.
Aw,
I'm gonna go home and shower.
So they should like harness energy from these bicycles or something
Yeah,
useful.
right.
If women
They
are going to be on them
should.
like
I
that.
know,
We should, yeah,
especially
like
since
windmills.
they do track it because they project your score up front, so they can
Are
be
you
like,
serious?
bike 34. This bitch in the
Yeah.
front who just tipped her bike over only rode like this much compared to
No,
this
I don't want
much.
everybody to know my scores.
I
are
don't
so
even want
bad.
to play laser tag for that reason.
I know,
Okay.
right?
My workout should not be competitive.
Yeah,
No.
No, but it's super competitive, and like the one that I went to, the woman
But
just
you're not even
screamed at you
going
the whole
anywhere.
time.
Yeah.
Like you're riding in place.
I
know.
used to take a class like that, but it was at the YMCA, and it was like really cool. Like everyone was really like cool and relaxed, and like yeah, the bikes were really close together. But this was when I was really like exercising for like an hour every day, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm burning 700 calories in this hour, like because I went hard.
Right.
I don't want to be that close to other people that are
I know
sweating.
my
No.
best
You
friend
know?
loves that stuff because she gets her she's really busy, so she gets like her time's worth or whatever, and she goes like Code Orange or something. She does like
Oh yeah,
really
one of those.
competitive.
Yeah.
I'm like, she needs competition to work out and like a trainer and someone
Code
to push her. I'm
Orange.
like, I
That
need
sounds
isolation.
dangerous.
And Kesha.
yeah, there's like an
And, like,
orange.
that's
vision.
it.
So do they shout at you though like that? I mean, she seemed like she was shouting encouragement. I feel like I've seen this in another film. It was like Nick Kroll. Was it a sketch show?
It's you're thinking of Kimmy Schmidt.
It's Kimmy Schmidt. That's right. I saw it on Kimmy Schmidt, and it was the same cycling setup.
Yeah,
only it
it's
was
like-
Nick Kroll, and at the end, he was actually not even riding. He was just sitting on the toilet taking a shit the whole time.
Yeah.
The woman who did my class didn't ride the bike. She just strutted in front of us,
Yeah.
screaming that we needed to try harder.
I think
Oh,
Odd Mom
man.
Out on Bravo also has like some Soul Cycle comedy. where they
Okay,
poke
so
fun
this
at
is a
the-
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
classic
Okay.
trope. Soul
A
Cycle
Soul
comedy.
Cycle.
We should add it to our list of tropes.
Oh
You
yes.
should.
There's a YouTube channel.
Well, but there is like workout, I think, scenes in a lot of these
Yeah.
kind of movies. There's a lot of those. It would have been like Jazzercise or something if this was an 80s
Yeah.
movie.
I know a lot of chick flicks, at least, you'll have yoga classes and stuff because that gives you an opportunity to put your female characters together in an environment where they can talk to each other in a way that feels natural and they could both be facing the camera at the same time.
I have never wanted to
when are
speak
they
to
all-
another
when are they
person while
gonna-
exercising.
Exactly.
Never in my life. Like, never have I been like, how was your weekend? How's the time with your husband?
I
Like,
think you
I
should write a
never.
sketch where with just like that.
Red
where
face,
it's
like
everyone
a
is
tomato soaking wet. Like,
I used
never.
I used to row with, not actually row, but do those rowing machines with one of my friends.
I don't like
at
those.
UGA. We were just like,
That's cool. That's cool.
Look, I don't like equipment that makes me feel like I'm going nowhere. Like if I'm lifting weights, I'm like, I feel like I'm training for something. Like I feel like I'm training for an important battle that might ensue in my life. But if I'm like on a cycle or I'm rowing, it's like, where am I going? Now I'm just a hamster in a wheel.
I just don't exercise at all.
It's a good solution.
Because
Going to
I
look
feel like I'm
amazing.
gonna hurt myself.
Well, apparently that bike was very dangerous.
Every time I've tried, I hurt myself. And my sister's like, you just need to get over it and keep exercising. It'll feel
Not
better
if it's
later.
gonna hurt you. You
I
don't.
know.
That's not the point of it.
Knowing that makes me feel better about what happens in the movie, though, because the
Yeah.
second time she
Yeah.
fell off
Yeah.
the bike, I was like, come on, really?
Oh, I would have
So
fallen
now
off the
I
bike
feel better.
every time.
It's not hard to do, to be honest. It's really not.
So she soul cycles and then falls off the bike, and the head injury is what causes her to suddenly look at
What a
herself
head
differently.
injury
But
that
was
But
disgusting.
she falls off in the movie twice. So the first time she falls off, she does not hit
She splits her
herself
pants.
hard. She
Yeah.
splits her
Oh
pants.
man, that was
Oh, yeah, it's a hard
relatable
groin
as fuck
shot.
to me.
Yeah.
Like I've done that to many pairs of pants.
Can I tell a short
Oh,
anecdote?
please do.
Okay, so I used to work for my college's admissions office, and so that meant I sat on all the panels for the prospective students. So there was one day that it was like prospective student day. I had to sit on like 6 or 7 panels, and so they're really informal. So I'm really just sitting in a chair in front of everyone, and we're talking, and about like maybe on my 3rd or 4th panel of the day, I realized that I have a giant hole in the crotch of my pants, and my pants are gray, and my underwear is bright pink. So I have just a vagina-shaped
Excellent.
hole in the center of my pants with pink underwear sticking out. And I like went up to my supervisor and I was like, I have to go back to my dorm. And they were like, no, like we really need you on this. And I was like, I don't
anyone
give
have a
shit.
sweater?
I was like, no, a sweater would not have fixed it. It was like front of my jeans. So when I'm sitting there, like 3 panels had just gotten a look at it. So anyway.
Oh, so everyone's already seen it.
Oh, yes. So I
great.
had more
Okay.
panels to sit on that day, and I was like, I have to go change my pants. So I go change my pants, whatever. Day goes on, fine. The next year, I'm sitting there talking to some freshmen, and one of them's just having a really bad day. I'm still supposed to be, like, mentoring them for a class. So I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to this freshman. I'm like, well, let me tell you, like, an embarrassing thing that happened to me and, like, make you feel better. And I told them that story, and they go, oh, my God, you're underwear girl. Hey, Carol, she's underwear girl. And, like, everyone fucking saw me. And, like, then from then on, every freshman knew, like, I was that bitch who was sitting there with her underwear out.
So you were underwear girl, but you were anonymously underwear girl, and then you were underwear girl.
Yeah,
So now you own it,
that's-
at least.
I was a senior in college with a bunch of 18-year-olds coming up to me like, underwear girl. And I was like,
But what if
So
you
you're
were?
kind of like a superhero.
21 years
Yeah, I was
old.
gonna say, like, what if you were like their hero? They were like, I was having a hard day, but if underwear girl can get through this day,
I don't think I was
So
anyone's
can
hero.
I.
I'm gonna go home tonight and
My
just
like
hero.
posters of just posters of your crotch on dorm room
I'm
walls.
just like, I'm
like,
Yeah, like Farrah Fawcett.
affirmation quotes
There's
next to
probably
them.
someone out there with a photo of it, or like I'm sure that got Snapchatted. You know, like
Oh,
they were
no.
all like,
Snapchat exists back then?
yeah, it had just started, so it was like maybe like
Well, at
they
least
were
it was
probably
only up for a couple
16-year-olds,
hours.
Like,
when it was gone.
If it makes you feel any better, I have split my pants to Britney Spears's Toxic 2 different times.
Oh, okay.
different
That's
times.
respectable.
Nice.
times.
and you're not allowed to listen to
Respectable.
it anymore.
Yeah.
You're like,
I
no.
was
only in skirts.
arguably I was dancing. So it wasn't just standing in
listen to
place.
Toxic
Compulsively,
and
it was
not
like,
dance.
oh,
The song makes the stitches
Yeah.
just come right open.
Yeah, they used to be my ringtone, but I had to change it because I couldn't hear it and not dance. I'd be like at the bank, and I'd be like, oh no.
all
You
your
know how
calls go to
fragile my
voicemail. You're like, damn it, I missed another one.
All right. So, does anybody have a burning topic they want to jump into about? I've got like a list of like 10 fucking things here. Anybody, any topic.
Anybody else? Can
Let you guys.
Let's just crinkle that paper.
A crinkle in time.
Crinkle. A crinkle in
Can
time.
you hear my eye twitching on this podcast? Because like I feel
It's
like
very
you
loud.
can.
I'm
It
gonna
is
have to cut it out.
So awful. I'm
Is
sorry
it
if my
trauma
eye
from
is
the
just,
underwear
like-
story?
No, it's been twitching all day. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so my topic is about myself.
Oh, okay.
okay.
I was about to pull one about myself. Really? Like we mind meld.
Okay. So I, to those of you who don't know, I used to be thin. Like for the first 23 years of my life, I was very thin and actually had an eating disorder for 10 years from 13 to 23. And I was very like obsessive and counted calories and exercised the excess calories off. When I was 23, I was diagnosed with PCOS, which one of the symptoms is weight gain and like uncontrollable weight gain. And so all of a sudden, over the course of like 3 years, I gained 130 30 pounds. And for the first few months, actually for the first like year, I exercised for like an hour and a half every day. I ran so much that I broke my ankle, like got a stress fracture.
Oh my goodness.
I stopped eating dairy, stopped eating sugar. I was still gained. And then finally I was like, you know what? Why do I care so much?
Yeah.
And during that period, that transition, I came to love how I looked and love myself and got past all that. I mean, I'm not saying it was easy. It took a long time. But the moment in this film when Amy Schumer sees herself in the mirror for the first time since she hit her head, I almost cried because I was like...
I did cry.
You did cry. I almost cried because I was like, I had that. Like, when I finally like learned to love who I am, it was like that. Oh my God! Like looking at myself in the mirror and being like, why didn't I have this for so long? When I was so thin, I looked so good, and I thought that I looked terrible, and so that was a very emotional part of the film for me.
Yes.
Yeah, I have that. That's actually on my list here. I related to this movie big time. Like it really, like nothing about it felt condescending to me or like it was manipulating me. Like I felt like I really related to this. Like I think I project more confidence than I actually have confidence. Like I'm not a person who's going to stand 5 people deep at the bar and wait my turn. Like I'm going to push my way up to the front, but that doesn't mean I actually love myself inside. You know what I mean? Like
You're thirsty.
I can project confidence as a defense mechanism. But like I've had 3 children. I've never really I think there was like a very brief window of time where I actually liked my body. It was very short. But prior to that, like in high school, I was very restrictive about what I ate. I went through various starvation diets. I took diet pills when I was in my 20s. I really tortured myself to stay at a certain weight. And then as I got a little older, I just kind of didn't really spend as much time on that. But also I've had 3 children and my body looks very different. And even still, even though I'm not obsessing over that anymore, it's very hard to look at my body and be like, I love this. Because it's like, there's a lot of floppy places now. I'm like a balloon that like you blew it up a little bit, and then when you like deflated the balloon, it just never quite went back to the same shape, if you know what I'm saying. And so I really I get this. Like I strive to be a person that looks in the mirror and goes like, I love how I look. Yeah. It's hard for me. It's a thing I've been struggling with my whole life.
Yeah. I don't know. I went through a long time where I just didn't like myself, and I had the same. I mean, most teenage girls like restricted what they ate and did all that, and and then like I really hated the way I looked until honestly college, when I met my roommate who looked just like me, and we were both bigger. Like she was taller than I was and had bigger thighs and like a bigger stomach, but she was just like healthy and happy, and she loved the way she looked, and she had so much confidence about it that like that daily affirmation of like waking up and her being like, damn, you look so good today, and like you look awesome. And like just it changed so much about how I perceived myself, because like I lived in the same room as a person who every day woke up and was just like, oh my God, we look like twins. And I was like, no, but you're so beautiful. And like that kind of stuff, like, so once I got into college, and like that was one of the thinnest I'd ever been. And like I was still pretty self-conscious about myself, but like I gained a lot of weight throughout college and like fluctuated, and then after college lost weight very inexplicably and was the thinnest I'd ever been in my life, and then gained like 100 pounds or whatever. And that feeling's always stuck. Like since then, just like I've always been pretty happy with how I looked, except for when I was very thin, because I honestly couldn't explain why I had gotten so thin. I really didn't like that.
Yeah, when I met you, you were, that was when you were here.
You were like, I don't like this.
It was just like I had never looked like that, and it was
you had
like
a tapeworm.
I think you had a tapeworm too.
You must have had a tapeworm.
I must have. Something happened to my body, and like it was very odd. But I was like super thin, and I was like a size 0.
Were you
and
really
I was
stressed out?
not any more than I ever have been
Right.
before. And so, like, I don't know. It was inexplicable.
She was
and
doing
I really,
a lot of
I was
cocaine.
gonna say, were you really cocaine?
no, it was past my cocaine days. But
Cocaine flashbacks.
It's cocaine flashbacks.
yeah, my body was just like, oh, you know that cocaine you did like 3 years ago to try and study? Now it's finally hitting you.
Yeah, late onset cocaine.
very delayed.
Exactly. It
Very
was like we
delayed
were just hiding.
delayed
here,
release cocaine.
giving you
Exactly.
the good stuff. But yeah, and I look back at pictures of myself from that time, and it's like, I don't even look like me, and I don't like it. But that's the only time that I was like really self-conscious about how I looked.
I'm trying to think of a movie that has tackled this topic before. Maybe you guys can help me out. Because this seemed to be like, I know it wasn't directed by a woman. It was written by a woman. She didn't direct it. I think it was he that directed it, right?
Abby and Mark co-directed.
Oh, they
directed it.
co-directed.
And it was
Okay.
their directorial
'Cause
debut,
It felt
too.
like. Well, wait. Didn't they direct Never Been Kissed?
They
I thought
wrote
did.
that.
Okay. It felt like it was from a woman's perspective. There were a couple of shots that seemed very male gazy in the
Yeah.
gym that I think were unnecessarily male gazy
Yeah.
because that's not what her looking at them was about.
Yeah. Also, it's like, come on, we all know what a pretty lady looks like. We don't need
Yeah,
to see
but it's
anymore.
like, if we're
Yeah.
looking at it from her point of view, she's not looking at them like
Right.
that, probably.
Lust.
Yeah.
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 So, but other than that, I felt like it was from a woman's perspective. So I'm trying to think of another movie that really tackled this topic of like how we feel about ourselves and how everybody else makes us feel about ourselves in this way.
I actually.
Pretty well tried in Bridget, right?
Okay.
Oh yeah, Bridget Jones's Diary
Okay,
does an excellent
okay,
job
yeah.
of
Okay.
this.
But
No, you.
no, but that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Well.
I'm just talking.
Well, now
forever.
I have things to say about Bridget Jones's Diary.
Please
so
do,
way to
please
go.
do.
Please.
But I've also read the Bridget Jones's Diary books,
too.
and so much of that is every day she documents her weight, how many alcohol units she's had, how many calories she's consumed.
How many cigarettes she smoked.
Exactly.
I remember
And
that resonating with me a lot.
It occupies her thoughts constantly, and I
Yeah.
related to that so much. I think I was still in my teens when I read the first Bridget Jones Diary. And yeah, that carries into the movies as well. One thing I also thought about, which isn't centered about this, but Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion is a lot about how those two characters are perceived by other people.
That's
There's
true.
the whole
Yeah.
subplot with them trying to lose weight for the reunion, even though
They
they're
do have a great gym scene also.
they're and they're even cycling where
Yeah.
they're just like humping the bike, and Romy's like,
Michelle,
Michelle,
what does this remind
you of?
I know, she's like so
That's a
gross.
great movie. It's a great movie.
And they talk about their diets where she's only been eating like gummy bears,
Candy
jelly
corns.
beans, and candy corns. God, I wish I had your discipline. And they talk a lot about the sorts of things the sorts of sacrifices we as women, as people, have decided we
Yeah.
have to make to achieve whatever bodies we feel like we have to have.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mira Sorvino and Lisa Kudrow are pretty traditionally gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're hot. They got hot bods.
But who knows how much time they have to spend into their week doing that?
Right.
Like, I mean, for most people to look like that, it has to be an entire
Well, it's your job,
Job.
in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's your
Like-
job in Hollywood to continue looking like that, and that's why you have a publicist and a trainer and a makeup artist and a hairstylist and
somebody
people who follow you around.
your meals planned
Right.
for you.
Yep.
It's my job as a podcaster not to look like that.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm
Yeah.
consuming all of this
Exactly.
cheese.
That's why we're eating
I'm
all
also
this
a
cheese
human
right
woman
Right.
now. Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
who has needs.
And I
And
pooped
I need
a kid
cheese.
out too.
Yeah.
is that how it happens?
Yeah, I pooped a biggin.
He's so cute. He's a cute little shit then.
Yeah, he really is. He's an adorable little shit.
But I want to add.
Yeah, no, please go.
Yeah, the scene where she's standing in front of the mirror, and we have a juxtaposing. It's not really juxtaposed. What am I talking about? It comes later. So we have a scene.
I think I know what you're
We have a
talking
scene
about.
that
Yeah,
mirrors
yeah.
it
Yeah.
when the spell breaks, when the wish fulfillment thing is over,
Right.
and she's crying and she's so upset that she sees herself, and it's just really devastating too. I think I cried for both mirror scenes, and then I was
Yeah.
sitting next to a couple, and I was alone, and I was like, "Don't let the couple see you cry, because you're an old lady and you're alone at the theater on a Sunday morning." Last week, and but I want to say, like, I think we all have issues loving our bodies, and I think that's never going to go away.
Yeah.
No matter what we think we need to achieve to love our bodies, there's going to be something. Especially age is like ongoing.
Yeah, that's a whole new
never
thing
gonna
that I
slow
get to
down.
hate about myself.
Right.
It's like a whole new world of hating myself that I've
I
encountered.
found my
just
first
had my-
gray hair.
Oh, I have so
congrats.
many gray hairs.
See, hairs you can dye. I can't
Yeah.
do anything about what's happening in this region.
Yeah, me
Oh, I
neither.
cut
or
bangs
this
to
or this
cover the
region,
wrinkles.
like are they neck wrinkles? Are they rolls? I'm not sure. Who's to
Okay,
say?
does water gather in them after your shower? Because then it's a moat.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I have one, so
I like
know.
that. I like the. I
Yeah.
like that. That's the test.
yep.
Well, I just want to say that I think that best advice I can give to any male or female who is struggling with their self-esteem is just to masturbate more.
Okay, I'll take that.
Because
that's
good
helped me a lot.
one of the easiest ways to love your body is to physically and literally love your body as often as you can
Well, I'm gonna-
without still being normal. And
Just like Haley Steinfeld sings.
yeah, it's a good song.
In that
Let's clip
song.
it.
We're in charge of the podcast now.
Yes, please. I'm gonna hand it off to them to edit this week. Yeah, no, I think that's good advice. I'm going to take that, and from now on, I'm going to ask for an extra 15 to 20 minutes every morning,
I think
and
you should.
tell Chris that I have to do this. It's for
It's your
The
me
good of the
time.
family.
For my
therapy
self-esteem.
reasons. It's for
Yeah.
self-esteem reasons.
And just repeat your affirmations. I feel pretty. I feel pretty.
It's not. That's not creepy at all.
Hot facts. Welcome to Hot Facts. This is the part of the show where Sarah reads us some trivia from the film, but I believe we didn't have any trivia. So what do we got?
Trivia was
What do we
lame,
got?
and I already said it. So,
Okay. What do we got? What do we got?
So what I want to do is read some reviews that I found on the Wikipedia page and a few, not reviews, but just like
Yeah.
set blurbs
Right, about the film.
about the film that I think maybe you could throw in like.
Well,
what do you think about them?
coincidentally,
You know.
Hillary and I wanted to talk about the reviews, and we were worried that we were going to be retreading our Lady Bits topic from
Yeah.
that. But let's hear it, because I read the New York Times review,
I didn't read any reviews. I just have seen the percentage.
and I see. Are we going to talk about the Rotten Tomatoes percentage?
Yeah. Is
30
that now? Yeah.
3%.
Fuck,
33%.
it's gone
Yeah.
down since I saw it yesterday.
33. Oh, was it? What did you see yesterday? Because I saw that
I thought
this
I
was
saw
like 2 days
34
ago.
a couple days ago.
Yeah, I feel like it was just a little bit more.
I think it's like 31 now or something like that.
I mean, I was shocked because I've seen trash can movies that were rated higher than that,
I think
and
Hot Tub Time Machine 2 has a higher rating.
It's
than that.
currently at 34 on.
Okay.
That's bullshit.
on
that's
Rotten
bullshit.
Tomatoes.
This movie is a solid
It's got a
B
4 out of
Well, we
10.
can't trust people. Look who's president. I mean,
Yeah.
It has a 4 out of
And-
10 on IMDb.
I will say that all of
Yeah.
these little blurbs I'm about to read were written by men.
Okay. I did see some very not favorable. I thought
By
the
wo-
New York
wo-
Times
women.
article was written
Yeah,
by a woman.
By a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jezebel's torn it to pieces.
Okay, this is. I guess I'm not allowed. Am I allowed to say? I mean, like
Absolutely.
He wrote-
Yes, it's
so
a
what?
public
He wrote
document.
it.
He wrote
Yeah. Fuck
This
this
is
guy.
J.R. Kennard from Pop Matters. The only people who won't be bored by I Feel Pretty are those whom it offends. It's a gross miscalculation that might mean well, but fails to balance the sharpness and delicacy necessary to tackle the emotional carnage wrought by self-hatred. That it forgets to make us laugh is the final insult.
Ouch.
yeah. I mean,
That I don't agree with. I just
I
don't
don't
agree
either.
with
I
that.
disagree. It's definitely not side achingly funny.
No, it's not.
But
it's not
also
Bridesmaids,
a
which I
rich,
did hear
full
someone.
Movie.
It is a
It's
rich
more
full
than
movie.
just a comedy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
definitely got dramatic peaks and valleys, and it's good throughout for a lot of different reasons.
And also, this movie wasn't made to deal with the emotional carnage
Also,
wrought
it-
by self-hatred.
it's not a
It
Like,
delicate movie and
feel
isn't
like
trying to be.
carnage. Like I didn't see carnage. This wasn't a carnage
Well, I
type
think
of movie.
he's saying like women have emotional carnage over their bodies,
And they
how
should have
and
dealt with
she
it.
should have dealt
the
with it
emotional
better.
they should have
carnage that I
dealt with
feel.
it more delicately.
I'm so emotional. That's the problem. I'm so emotional
I
that
deserve
it's
more.
Yeah,
It's,
ladies are
it's-
delicate flowers.
We're so delicate and we have carnage for
What
our
is the difference
self-hatred.
between Amy Schumer's body and Betty Page's body? And Betty Page is hanging up
Right.
in garages. Well, maybe not right currently, but like all across America 30 years ago.
Well, Amy
Is
Schumer
that
does have smaller
50 years
boobs.
ago?
yeah.
Who knows?
I've seen her
Um,
boobs. They're in Snatched.
Are they?
Oh.
I
One
didn't
of them
see
is.
Snatched.
She
Just
looks-
one.
she has nice
She was like, I
boobs.
want to show the
She has
bigger
nice
one,
boobs,
please.
yeah.
Great tapeworm scene.
I'm
you'd
sure
love
she
it.
has great.
Oh, great. I
It's
love
very
tapeworm
good
jokes.
tapeworm scene.
I'm good. I'm into tapeworm jokes. So
All boobs
what
are
next?
good boobs,
The
though.
next
Let's be
one
real.
is
Yeah, right?
Peter
They're pretty great.
Travers.
Oh, the Rolling Stone.
Oh, thank God.
Is it really okay to get off making plus size jokes just because you take a moralizing ending that teaches a lesson about body positivity? Can you really have it both ways?
What would be really fun is to read the Shallow Hal reviews and see how much critics loved it.
I know.
I actually think that movie was a flop. But, I mean, I didn't look it up, but I'm pretty sure that movie flopped.
Okay, good.
I don't like the idea of a man saying, like, we shouldn't make plus size jokes. Like, it's not, they're not plus size jokes.
It didn't feel like a plus size joke.
Didn't feel like
to me.
plus size jokes. No,
we
it
weren't
seems
making
like
fun
they
of her
didn't
body.
understand what the movie was about. It feels like to me.
Yeah.
Maybe because you don't know what it feels like to.
Exactly.
I think a lot of
Maybe you
people
don't have emotional
purposefully
courage.
missed the
I'm just kidding.
point. You know, they
Yeah.
thought
Yeah,
that
exactly.
the joke was her body,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
they went into it thinking her body is the joke, and that's
Exactly.
not the joke.
And
The
it wasn't
joke
shot
is-
that
That's what
way?
you think.
right?
No.
And the joke is that she didn't feel confident in the beginning, and that she can feel confident now. And I think it pokes fun at a lot of that. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just missed the point.
I feel like they did because it's not just about the body. It's your face and your hair and the way you do your makeup and the outfits you wear.
Right.
It's the whole package.
And where you work. Like, she
And
works in a basement.
exactly.
And that feels like a troll. Like,
and the way
Yeah.
other people treat you.
the way other people treat
Yeah.
you. It's so important in this film. And
Yeah.
Helen and I don't know how many times have we been sitting in front of a microphone talking about a film, and we lead with, like, or we end up accounting, like, wow, it's like these men just don't understand what this movie is about at all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
They're not trying to
No.
understand women. They never will. Like,
And it's not
And it's
for
like,
them,
I
and that's
s-
okay.
I saw
Yeah,
a
they
lot
don't
of,
have
like,
to.
that men
But
feeling...
they're reviewing it.
men feeling sympathy on our behalf, like preemptively, like, oh my God, don't listen to this movie. They're making fat jokes. Like, don't be like, you must be so
Yeah.
offended. And it's like, if we're not offended, why should you be offended?
Also, like, my whole stand-up bit is about how I feel about my body too. Like, a
Yeah.
large portion of it is, and like, I've written a ton of jokes about how I feel about my body because, like, I'm not a rail thin person, and like, I think it's totally okay to do that.
You're allowed as a person with a
Absolutely.
body
Right.
to talk about your body.
Exactly.
What these critics are doing is they're looking this movie on the whole and saying, "Oh, you have a really pretty face," which is something that, like, any plus size woman has heard before,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what they're doing. They're misunderstanding what's important about the entire whole
Yeah.
and trying to, I don't know, make allowances.
Yeah, it seems
that
like they
it's
don't
not
get
asking
what the
for.
movie's about. I
Yeah.
felt that way about
Yeah.
the New York Times article too,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. Like, it didn't seem like it did make, again, the New York Times article did point out the lack of diversity, which I do think is a flaw in the
It
movie.
was
Yes.
kind of like
Yeah.
glaring.
Definitely
honestly.
a big flaw, and I
Yeah.
do think that it's fair to point out that being blonde and white is definitely a beauty ideal when you look at overall, like, people who have been made to feel like they are not beautiful. Like, I think that's a big,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I think that the lack of diversity is a huge flaw.
I agree.
That's a fair criticism, but I'm not hearing that from these reviews.
Nope.
So this is from Cosmopolitan. I don't know who wrote it. They just Cosmo.
Okay.
It's insulting to anyone and everyone, from Amy herself all the way to women that are larger and less able-bodied. Which I guess I understand, but I don't see how
Again,
it's
I don't
like,
think that's what the movie's about.
I don't
though.
find it
Insulting.
insulting in any way. And like, I understand the able-bodied thing. Again, that's a lack of diversity in casting. And I
Yep.
think that we could have seen more people of different abilities in the film. But I don't feel insulted by this movie. I feel really empowered by it. And
I
I think
know, I did
most
not feel
women
that.
do. I don't know.
I mean, everybody in this room does, and we're not the only people,
Yeah.
and we're not a whole
Yeah.
cross-section
Yeah.
of humanity, but we didn't talk about this movie before we came. I mean, Sarah and I did say to each other that we liked it. I mean, it was impossible not to tell that we both enjoyed the movie, but
Yeah.
none of us talked about this movie other
Yeah.
than that before coming in here, so we didn't have some kind of group think about this. We all 5 of us enjoyed it.
Yeah, and remember, this is the same industry that is force feeding us these narratives and these movies
Yeah.
of this ilk, and then judging us for liking it or for not liking
Yep.
it or
Yeah.
what the fuck
Yeah.
ever. And it's just all the judgment. It's like, shut the fuck
Yeah.
up. This isn't.
Yeah.
You don't have to like this.
This isn't about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Although that one might be. I don't know if the Cosmo lady didn't like it. I don't know.
I don't know. Men
Well,
write for
that's
Cosmo too.
internalized
Yeah.
misogyny right there too. I mean, it's just deep.
Because I
These
feel like the
white women.
movie was wanting to have.
It's white women.
I think the movie wanted us to have this conversation that we're having, and the movie gave us an
Yeah.
opportunity to talk about it. And I don't think they're giving it credit for that.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it's, you know.
Like I said, how great is it that the criticisms are these criticisms? It's progress. It still sucks.
But I feel like the criticisms aren't real criticisms.
No,
it's
they're
saying
not.
like everyone feels insulted by this movie, but that's not a criticism of this movie. Diversity in casting is a criticism
Right.
of this movie. Like
They didn't
the
seem to
male
talk
gaze, I
about-
think, is a criticism of this movie.
Yeah, there was some male gaze going on here that was unnecessary.
I mean,
But those still weren't criticisms we were having 20 years ago
Right.
on
True.
this
Yeah.
level.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. I think these are unfair and
but I also have
shallow.
to wonder, like, I wish we had some other movies to compare, because there are a lot of movies that use either very overtly or subtly fat jokes. You know,
Oh, yeah.
where they like the one that comes to mind, and this is a movie that came out a long time ago, but like I remember when we watched Striptease last year, and there was a character that was a secretary who was a little overweight, and she like ate a yogurt that had a bug in it or something, and the whole joke was that the whole thing about her was that she was homely and overweight, and like that was what her character was, and it was a very small part, but like it was immediately noticeable as like that was the funny part of this scene was like, look at this overweight woman eat a yogurt with a bug in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I feel like that's so commonplace in movies.
Oh, yeah.
But then when a woman wants to talk, like I do
Right.
feel like there has
the woman's
like I feel
leading
like
the conversation about
she's leading the conversation, and yet people are attacking this movie for being like, it's so offensive, how dare they make how dare they talk about people being insecure about their appearance, but they're like making it about fat jokes, and that's not
When are we
really
gonna
what this
talk about
movie
this?
is. I
Don't
feel
talk
like
about this.
yeah, so I feel like it's okay when we make fat jokes, it seems like,
Yes, women
But it's
do
not
it.
okay when we don't make a fat joke in a movie that seems like it should have a fat joke in
Oh
it.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're hard pressed
exactly.
to find a comedy that doesn't have a fat joke.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, Love Actually is about half fat jokes.
Yeah.
I
Friends.
get those are little
Friends. Yep.
Friends has so many fat jokes in it.
Yeah.
How I Met Your Mother. I mean, they all do.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to leave you with a
Okay, let's get a
This is from Hollywood Elsewhere, Jeffrey Wells. Elements of I Feel Pretty appear to resemble the plot of the 1945 film The Enchanted Cottage without crediting it as an inspiration. The Enchanted Cottage is about this house where
a movie that nobody the fuck has ever heard of.
No,
But Sarah
this
has.
man and this woman meet there, and they both look a certain way, and then like by falling in love, they both see themselves differently
Okay.
by falling in love, and I'm like,
But that wasn't what
the
this
fuck?
movie
Like,
was.
I know. I looked it
Also,
up
what
and I
a
was just
weird thing to say. Like, at what point do you want them to credit it? Like, do you want the movie credits to start with inspired
the
by?
Inspired by
Enchanted
Soul Cycle
Cottage.
and the cottage movie no one's seen.
Yeah, like what
Let's
is
have
it?
everyone
I just thought that
cite
was
the
so
hero's
weird. That
journey.
was just like a really weird. Like,
So bizarre.
I also feel like that's a criticism that bugs me a lot when people say things like it's not credited as this inspiration, because I also think that collective unconscious is real.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
think that that's a big criticism that we get of Amy Schumer as well. Like the biggest thing that I hear about her is she steals jokes. And I was like, when you look up that allegation, it was a vagina joke that I have had in my arsenal as well. And I know lots of other women
Yeah.
have made that joke
because
before.
it's a common experience.
Because it's an
Yeah.
experience that we all have. I don't remember it right now off the
Although
top of my head, but it was like a joke about
Dane
a vagina.
Cook,
it was
Dane
like a
Cook
period
really does
joke.
steal jokes, though.
Yeah. I mean,
Dane
a lot
Cook is a
of
piece of
comics
shit,
do,
so-
and like I'm not saying that never happens.
I just
but
wanted
I'm
the
also
chance to
saying,
shit
like,
on Dane Cook.
Yeah,
I'm done
right,
now.
Yeah.
Well.
He's got lots of funny vagina jokes, and none of them are his.
Right. But I mean, that's the thing. That's the main criticism of Amy Schumer. But I'm just like, I'm sorry. She gained fame faster than the other woman did, and that accused her of that. And like, that's not Amy Schumer's fault. She told a joke that she had been telling for years that other women tell on stage everywhere else. And it's just, not everybody knows every joke that everybody tells.
Yeah.
We don't see every comic in the world.
Yeah.
But I hate that criticism of her, because the jokes that she's accused of stealing are jokes that are of her own experience. That the reason why they're funny is because we've all experienced
Right.
them. We've all thought that joke before, just don't have the courage to get up on stage and say it.
Well, I feel like it's the classic life cycle of particularly female comedians, or any woman who is outspoken and kind of has a strong brand.
Yeah.
Is that everyone hails you as a genius. You blow up, you're in everything. Then everybody starts to hate you and pick everything apart that's wrong with you. And then from then on, they're just constantly looking for you to fuck up.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like that's the life
No, I
cycle,
agree.
right?
Completely.
And I don't know how you live with that. Like, I don't know how you come out and I feel like
You
this
get
was a
kidney
really
failure and you're in the hospital.
Yeah.
God,
And you miss your London premiere. Exactly.
Poor Amy.
I know.
You know, by the time this comes out, I hope Amy's doing much better. I'm sure she will be. But as of now, she's in the hospital with kidney problems. Also, I can't imagine that after, because if I were her, honestly, if I were her and I made this movie, I'd be like, I'm really proud of this. I did good.
She is really proud of it.
I
I've
did
heard her
good.
speak about it.
And then to get a fucking 33% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And have people tell me that my movie sucks because I didn't credit some movie nobody's heard of and that I'm making fat jokes. Like, that is not what the movie's about. Like, I
Amy
would
Schumer
be
makes fat
upset.
jokes? That's news.
And
I would be upset if I were
also
her.
seen criticism of her body in this movie too, and I'm just like, to make a movie about body positivity and then get flack for how you look, it's just like, God fucking damn it.
But also, I'm sure she's like, yeah, this is what I expected. Maybe not the 33%, but for people to like, now I've opened it up. I've opened up the Pandora's box of people talking about my body. I mean, you have to. I mean, she's been doing that her whole career.
Right. Very, very generously.
Yeah.
And this is a quote from her, actually. This isn't a story about a fat, ugly woman who gets beautiful. It's about a girl with really low self-esteem who improves it.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, I agree
That's
with
exactly
that.
what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring it down for a minute.
Bring it down. Bring it down. Slow jams.
Because having a 33% on this movie is terrible, but I feel like in the unfortunate low points of Amy Schumer's career, she's probably just glad that nobody shot anybody in the theater yet.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying that she probably thinks that every time
I
she has
would
a movie
too.
come
I would
out.
too. Yeah. God, I forgot. I mean, I didn't forget about it. I actually thought about it while I was sitting in the theater.
Yeah.
I did think about it when we got there.
I think about
thought
it every time I go to a movie theater.
Which
But
one
my
was that? Was it Snatched or was
It was
Trainwreck?
Trainwreck.
Trainwreck. And it was in Lafayette, Louisiana, where my sister lived at the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Actually, every time I go to a theater, I do think about
Yeah, me
that,
too.
and I
Yeah.
look at the exits, and it's
someone
just,
our friend Tracy was in our podcast group this morning talking about what is the new film with
Dispossessed.
What's it about?
Rachel McAdams.
and Rachel Weisz, right? Or
Yes,
is-
Rachel Weisz. And
What's
so
that called?
I forget what it's
Starts
called.
with a D, right?
It is. It's dispossessed
I
or
think dispossessed.
discouraged or something.
Yeah, but she saw it in New York and she was saying, see this, I saw it. She's like, I saw it with a really receptive audience, so it was great. And I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, it's something I take for granted that I live in Atlanta and every theater audience is really receptive. Like,
Yeah.
And then like you look outside of Atlanta and like it's a
Yeah.
little darker.
I live in the suburbs. They have plenty of like stars and bars.
Sure, yeah.
Disobedience.
Disobedience.
That makes sense because she's very disobedient to her culture. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, but you take for granted that people are going to be receptive to these things.
Yeah.
And just a film like Trainwreck, which was a romantic comedy
Yeah.
with a woman, and like I guess if we had to pick out a flaw, what's her flaw? She sleeps around with men unapologetically.
The film doesn't even have a feminist message, but I believe
really?
Amy Schumer had already made her case as a feminist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the world, and it was just a punishment of that sort of mindset.
Yeah. I also feel like a lot of movies, they don't need to have an overlying message to be feminist inherently. And I think that
Yeah.
a lot of feminism is just being who you are
Right.
and
Empowering
accepting
women
that
in
and
general. Don't
empowering
do that,
women.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Like,
bad news.
I don't think you need to have the message.
Right, but this one does, and
it
it's
does.
disappointing to me that because even though it does affect whether people are going to see something.
It does.
It affects whether how much money people get paid next time when they do something, or how much money they get for their next
Yeah.
project.
Or if they
get
get
to
so,
make another one.
so much of
Yeah.
that buzz online
Make
was
another
written by
one.
people who hadn't seen the movie too.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, and also I'm
They
sorry.
had just seen the
one more
trailer and they
hot
based
fact.
their go for it.
The budget was 32 million, and as of now, it's made 31 million.
Okay.
So hopefully it'll go over. It's like breaking even right now.
I
but
hope it breaks even, but
I'm
that's
gonna go
still
see it.
not.
Yeah. I know.
That's
I'm just
still
like, I'm
not
going to go see
great.
it again.
I mean,
For another
that's
one of
not
my
great.
$15.
Like, even breaking even is considered a failure,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, most comedies, it's not as much, it's not like an action movie where it's like pressure to make back like twice or whatever.
I'm just glad that this was made at all.
Well, I did notice that there were a number, like I noticed right off the bat that there were a number of production companies involved, which means there were the financing
No, that was the first
really
thing Christo said was
spread
like,
out.
how many people did it take to make this movie?
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people funded this.
Yeah.
Now I
And
really
it looks
wanna know
like
who was
one of
originally
them was
cast
a
as Royce
foreign
Rumble.
market.
yeah.
So they obviously made some money on the overseas sales,
They
I
made
think.
more overseas, actually.
Well, I mean, like they pre-sold the rights to overseas, and that's how they made. That's one of the ways you can get funding to make a movie is that you pre-sell the rights overseas, and that you get money on the front end to
Let's
help.
just do that for our next movie.
Yeah, I'm
It
sure
seems
that our
easy.
movies will translate well
Yeah,
overseas.
that's what we've been told.
That's what we've been
Underwear Girl is very popular in
told. Underwear Girl would be so popular in Japan.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Make
It would be very
a
popular in
movie
Japan.
called Underwear Girl.
Welcome to Plug It Up. This is the part of the show where we talk about what our guests are up to and what we are up to, so you can keep up with all the awesome things that everyone's doing. Let's start with our guests, Valerie and Helen. What would you like to plug?
Well, Valerie and I do a podcast called Falling in Love Montage that we have mentioned a moment ago.
It's great. It's a great show.
So we're doing a theme month, which we do every once in a blue moon. And because it is the month of McConaughey, we will, despite the fact that we're normally a bi-weekly podcast, we'll be releasing an episode covering a different McConaughey movie every week in
and
May.
we already hate ourselves.
All right.
Oh my God! Can you give us a taste of what you'll be talking about?
We can tell you everything
I'd love
we'll
to
be
know.
talking
Yes.
about. Would you like to?
We'll be first looking at The Wedding Planner.
Never seen it.
Our first J-Lo movie.
Our first J-Lo movie.
Our first J-Lo movie.
I'm not going to say anything because I'm not on the show. But
Oh, you
I have
can say I don't like the movie.
I
Spoiler.
don't like it. I don't like it.
Then we're delving into Failure to Launch.
Ooh, haven't seen that one.
It's weird.
It'll be coming out Mother's Day weekend, which I think is
Ooh.
appropriate since the dude like lives
think
at
it
his
is.
mom's
I
house.
think it
Pretty
is.
hard.
Yeah.
Sarah Jessica Parker, SJP,
Okay. Okay.
starring. Yeah. Next is Ghosts of Girlfriends Past.
Which I haven't seen yet.
Oh boy.
A real
I've never heard
treat.
of it.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen that one.
I don't
That's
blame any
Eva
of you.
Longoria, right? Or am I wrong on
Is
that?
it? I don't
don't know.
know. I don't even
You know,
Okay.
I can't even remember.
I had an idea of Jennifer Garner.
There's a lot of women in it. Jennifer Garner is in it.
Okay.
I
I can
could be
confirm that.
very
Emma
wrong.
Stone is
I
even
bet
in it.
Eva
Oh.
Longoria is in there. She seems like the right
She
type.
seems like she'd be. There's a lot of women in it.
Lots of women.
For some reason, her name pops to mind when I think
It's
about
like The Christmas Story, but disgusting.
it. Yeah.
So
What's the
instead of wanting a Red Ryder BB gun,
Yeah.
he wants
Just a set of titties.
okay. You'll
And
shoot your eye out with
Allegedly,
that.
yes.
And saving maybe the worst for last. That
Oh.
classic Fool's Gold.
Oh my God! I was hoping you would say that. The movie is terrible.
Terrible.
I watched it on
Bad.
an airplane and I was angry. I was like,
Yeah.
I wish I had been sleeping.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I wished I had slept.
I wish
instead
I'd
of
been on the
watched that
toilet
movie.
the whole time.
I'm having diarrhea.
Yeah. Wet
It
with
was
diarrhea.
Wet with diarrhea.
My
It was
favorite
terrible.
McConaughey movie is Contact.
Yes.
Season
We're not doing any of his
I
good
know.
movies.
Interstellar.
And we've already talked about How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, episode
Yeah.
10.
So we're pretty
good.
much, we'll have covered all of the McConaughey chick
Are
flicks at
you
this point.
my
gonna do
God.
the Lincoln commercials or any
We
of the
have a
Wild
spin-off
Turkey? Is
for
it
that.
Wild Turkey?
Well, they're a sponsor,
do
so
Wild Turkey?
we'll have commercials actually within.
What about
the
Sahara?
episode.
He does some sort of bourbon or whiskey.
That's not a
commercial, too.
chick flick.
Wow.
but it could
Fool's
be.
Goat. I'm gonna have to check out the Fool's Goat
Oh yeah,
Gold
so
episode.
check us out for the month of McConaughey.
McConaughey. Where can they hear your podcast?
Well, on the internet, but more specifically on iTunes, Stitcher, any major third-party podcast player you're listening
Yes.
to. You can stream it on our website, fallinginlovemontage.com. Our
Excellent.
network has just relaunched and rebranded as
Nice.
Flying Machine, so you can find everything at
Oh.
flyingmachine.network.
Nice, cool name.
And we're pretty psyched about all the new fun things that are happening there.
Awesome.
And
We have a
like,
fun Facebook group, which is a good
Yeah, it's very
conversation.
active over there. There was a lot of discussion about this.
About
month's
I Feel
film.
Pretty.
It's
There's
like
a lot
the
of
safest
discussion there.
place. It's like the only thing I do when I log on to Facebook is check that in our
Yeah, everybody
network.
seems really cool over there.
They're so cool.
Yeah.
they are, we
So
are.
lucky.
I'm sure you will be when you
I
come.
have the best
Please join.
friends. We never update our Twitter since December, but we're
I know
going
I was
to
looking
eventually.
I was looking for Twitter for you guys, and I couldn't find it.
We've got one. It's
It wasn't linked to your
podcast.
website, so I was going to tag you guys, but
I need to update that.
What a couple of dum-dums.
text me the Twitter handle, and we'll tag you guys.
I sure
when we
will.
tweet
Yeah, our
stuff
social media
about this.
Our social media intern sucks. It's me, and she's really busy. But yeah. Email us at fallinginlovemontage@gmail.com.
Yes. Check out their podcast. It's really good.
Our
guys.
entire name, Falling in Love Montage, is like such a stupid mouthful, but it's film.
No, it's great.
It's film.
FILM. So it made for a
Film
snazzy
montage.
logo. Whatever.
Yeah, it's a great logo. All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. This has been a hoot.
It's been fun having you guys. Okay, so we got a couple things to plug, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, so we got to plug the Critical Crop Top live sketch show, which is Critical Crop Top Enters the Multiverse, which is going to be opening on May 11th, and so we'll be doing shows on May 11th, 13th, 18th, and 20th at the Highland Inn Ballroom. I didn't write it down. That was all from memory.
You got it right. I'm proud of you.
At the Highland Inn Ballroom. And tickets are on sale right now at our website, criticalcroptop.com/tickets.
I love it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you guys have been to the live show. It's fun. We've got a stand-up guest.
Yep, Haley Ellman.
Got Haley Ellman, and we got Gabby Rotz doing music.
Yes.
And, of course, we've got some of your faves. Hillary and myself are in the show. Jasmine Waters, Cameron Richardson, Liz Shad, Andy Fleming, John Good, Patrick Morgan.
John Good is our best friend. And you
John
guys
Good
play with such
is
a
great.
cool crew. We just love you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm interrupting your plug.
No, please.
it's to compliment
say
you,
all the
so
compliments
it's
that you want. So please come check out the show if you're in the Atlanta area. You can get your tickets right now. They're only $10. Critical Crop Top Enters the Multiverse. It's weird as fuck. This is a weird as fuck show. Come see it.
Weird fucking show.
So fucking weird. Come see it.
Can't wait to see it.
I know. Thanks, Sarah. Sarah's going to be there. Come see it with Sarah. Come see it with Sarah.
Yeah.
Everybody who listens to this podcast, just sit in a big group.
Yeah.
Okay, Hillary, you got something?
Yeah, so you can catch all of Critical Crop Top's videos on our new network, Thea Network. You can download the app from your phone. That's THEA. Or you can find them online at thea.network. And check out the Critical Crop Top channel. It's an Atlanta-based media platform, and they have tons of videos and interviews and really just cool content that's all produced out of Atlanta on there.
Indeed. That's great stuff.
And then also I just want to thank one of our sponsors, Wonder Shop.
Thank you, Wonder Shop.
They are super helpful. It's a co-working space out of Candler Park. It's also just sort of like a little artist haven. They sell artwork out of there. I know Boyd has been doing morning coffee talks on Fridays, where he invites people to come and just have chats and just get to know your neighbors in Candler Park. It's a really cool space.
It's a cool space run by a cool dude, and we thank them very much. We host our monthly writers group there.
Yeah.
And come check it out if you're one of those floater workers like myself and you're looking for a cool place to work during the day. They got really, reasonable rates and whatnot. So check them out. Wonder Shop, Atlanta.
Yeah. The best thing about that is I wouldn't have to let my dog inside and outside 18 plus times a day.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like
you won't be
sometimes
there for them to bug
it's
you.
productive
Exactly.
to go to a different place to
It
work.
is. Change your environment, meet new people, and get inspired.
Yeah, and they've got like several rooms you can work into. So like you can have like a private desk little area, or like there's little conference rooms, and it's a really cool space. It's just very versatile and fun.
And it's very welcoming to artists.
It is. It's very welcoming. It feels very homey.
It does. All right, so I guess that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the show. We, of course, this is going to wrap up the first episode of our discussion on I Feel Pretty. We will have 2 more episodes about I Feel Pretty, and then we'll have our Lady Bits episode to round out the month. But thank you, Valerie and Helen, for joining us to talk about this film. It's been a blast to have you guys on. I feel like it was a really good discussion. I really enjoyed this movie. I love talking about it.
5 people, we all managed to talk.
I know.
I'm
No,
secretly
and, like-
hoping that we weren't recording it all and we get to do it again.
Oh my
Nicole's like, that's my nightmare.
Does anybody have like 4 more hours to spare tonight? Hillary's going to an open mic, so no.
I am.
Yeah, going to an open mic. All right. Well, thanks for being on, guys. And thank you, listeners, for joining us. Please keep up with the show. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Feminine Mistake Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Fem Mistake Pod. So continue the conversation with us, and please join us next week when we will be talking about I Feel Pretty.
And write a review.
And write a
Review
review.
us.
Review us on
But
iTunes.
only if you like us.
5
But if
stars.
you don't like us,
I Feel Pretty, please.
I Feel Pretty, please give us a review. And if you don't like us, then just don't do it.
You can
don't do it.
send me a DM on Twitter.
Just send us
I'll
a
delete
DM.
it.
Yep. Thank you.
Write a scathing review in Jezebel.
Write a scale.
please.
Like
Yeah.
most.
That is the correct avenue to
I
reach us
feel
with
like
your scathing
yeah,
reviews.
definitely. I feel like that, and we would know we've made it if we got a scathing review in Jezebel. Thanks, guys. And of course, if you got a nervous breakdown that you would like to read on the show, or you got something you want to say, you can always email us at femininemistakepodcast@gmail.com.
Hey y'all, this is Melody,
And Aaron.
the host of Heaving Bosoms, a romance novel podcast.
We're two long-distance friends who gush, giggle, snark, and snort our way through a different romance novel each week.
If you love fangirling about your latest read with your best friends, with or without wine, come join us for a deep breakdown of our favorite and occasionally not so favorite romance novels. Our recaps come with a heaping dose of unconditional friendship, open-hearted feminism, and our fair share of tangents.
Come for the romance, but stay for the self-love recommendations we use to cap off each episode.
You can find Heaving Bosoms on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love sexy times and friendship. Bye!
Bye!